Okay, hi, my name is Will. I am a graduate of this illustrious university, and today I'm going to talk to you about space psychology. So the resources used for this come from a nifty little book. It's called Space Psychology and Psychiatry, and it's made by the same series that makes SMAD, Space Mission Design and Analysis. The whole series of these books about space method you might want to check out. So that's my resources from this book. It's kind of like an overview of everything that's been researched in space psychology and psychiatry. Some things I'm going to talk about today are why space flight psychology is important, space psychology, or psychology in the space environment, psychophysiological concerns, crew psychology, and psychological countermeasures. So, first part, why is psychology of spaceflight important? We're going to talk about some mission conditions and then factors of short and long duration missions. Okay, so here's a nice little table summarizing some different types of missions. The first here being orbital ISS missions compared to a winter orbit in Antarctica, a lunar mission, and a Mars mission. So you can see just some, to point out for you, some different conditions here. One would be the distance to Earth, which as you go farther into the solar system to the moon and Mars, becomes greatly increased. The crew size varies a lot. Typically in ISS they have 3 to 6, which is similar to a lunar or Mars mission, but a winter orbit in Antarctica is 50 to 20 people. The degree of isolation goes up from low to high, medium in ISS or Antarctica, to extremely high for a Mars mission, making it a unique condition in which psychology takes place. Crew autonomy also extremely high or medium on the Mars and respectively the lunar missions. You have cases where you can't evacuate in case of an emergency, so if someone does have any psychological breakdown, you can't evacuate them back to Earth, and you can't take them away from the crew. Outside monitoring for a Mars mission is very restricted. You can do it on a lunar mission, a winter orbit in Antarctica, or an ISS mission. And the other thing to point out here is a visual link to Earth. Okay, all the other situations have a visual link to Earth, whereas the Mars mission we don't have any, and we're unaware of the psychological factors involved in that. So here are the ranking of people's psychological factors for short duration and long duration missions. So the first one that's required for long duration missions is freedom from mental disorder, emotional stability, self-control, and self-confidence. The second is the ability to perform under threat to life stress, stress and stressful conditions, flexibility and adaptability, ability to cope with limited personal stress. Third is group living and interaction skills, adaptability to crew diversity and multicultural adaptability. 4 is conflict resolution and cooperation, priority of team over personal goals, and followership skills. 5th is family issues, the ability to cope with prolonged separation from family and friends. 5 is motivation, achievement motivation, intrinsic work motivation, perseverance, goal orientation. The 7th is exercising sound judgment, situational awareness, and vigilance. 8 is responsibility, attention to detail, and integrity. The 9th is interpersonal communication skills, and the 10th is team leadership, effective resource management, and accountability. So that varies greatly from the short duration missions. You can see here in the group living skills, it's a 3rd ranking for a long duration mission, but only 7th in priority for a short duration mission. If you're doing a short duration mission, you don't need as much skills for living together because you're not there for a long period of time. The other thing that's kind of unbalanced here is the judgment decision making. It's ranked really high for long duration and ranked really high for short duration missions and ranked a little bit lower with exercising over the long duration missions.
What's the distinction between short and long?
So short duration missions would be like a shuttle, up to 2 weeks stay someplace, and the long duration would be any time after that. So So all the stuff on MIR, all the stuff on ISS would be considered long duration. And it just goes to show you need a different psychological skill set to do a short duration versus long duration mission.
Or just be good at everything.
Or be good at everything, right? But these are like things you need to have. Interesting thing here is that leadership ability is right at the bottom at number 10. So it's like on the ranking the least important thing to consider. But I kind of disagree with that. If you had an exceptional leader in place, you might be able to compensate for decrements in other ones, right? So like an excellent leader might be able to enhance the emotional stability of the crew.
How does it change for different crew members? Like I would imagine that the commander would need excellent leadership capability.
Yeah, we're going to go into some of the competency lists of what crew members would have. And at the end, there's actually a working model for behavioral adaptations that they want astronauts to have. We'll go through that. So this is, can't really read these down away, but it's psychology in the space environment. We're going to talk about some different stressors and different stresses in the space environment. Okay, so here we have a table of the different stressors are called. Stressors being things that cause different forms of stresses. Okay, so under the physical category, we have obviously the acceleration, microgravity, ionizing radiation, meteorite impacts, light yarn cycles. Under habitability, there's vibration, ambient noise, temperature, lighting, air quality. For psychological stressors, we have isolation, confinement, danger, monotony, and workload. And finally, for interpersonal, gender issues, cultural issues, personality conflicts, crew size, and leadership issues. So those are some things that are each category that cause stress. Now if we look at some of the different types of stress under each of those categories, or sorry, slightly different categories, there's the physiological stresses of space sickness, which we'll talk about in more detail, vestibular problems, sleep disturbances, body fluid shifts, bone loss, and hypercalcemia. Performance disorientation, visual illusions, and you've probably heard people talk about some of these things before, where astronauts, if they fly head first through the space station, they feel like they're actually flying straight, but they're actually rotating forward slowly. So that's why they have to fly with their feet in front of them, because it gives them a reference of where their body position is, because they don't get that from some of their vestibular systems. Attention deficits as a performance issue in space. We've shown that you can sustain some pretty severe cognitive deficits after flying in space for a period of time. Error proneness, psychomotor problems. Okay, under interpersonal, we have some tension between crew members, withdrawal or territorial behavior. So over time, some people can become territorial. You know, this is my module, this is your module. Lack of privacy, which typically only affects people of certain cultures. They had a Greek astronaut fly on one of the, I think it was probably ISS. And in Greek, there's no word for privacy, right? They're a very social culture, so you spend a lot of time very close to each other, very close to family and friends at all times. So they had a lot of conflict on that mission between some of the Russian and the American astronauts versus this Greek astronaut, because the Greek astronaut would be really close to their personal space, always hanging out with them, whereas the American astronauts would want to go kind of back to their own little bunk and call their family and stuff like that. So just some cultural issues. That's why if you're designing missions for long duration, it's important to take into account the culture, because American astronauts will definitely want space where they can go and isolate themselves a little bit, whereas Greek people, you might be able to shove more of them into a single capsule for a longer duration space flight without any psychological problems occurring. So it depends on the culture. Scapegoating, affect displacement, which is displacing emotions to other people. And then also some psychiatric stresses, adjustment disorder, somatoform disorders. Somatoform disorders are disorders where psychiatric symptoms manifest as physical sensations. So you might have a mental problem that manifests itself as physical pain. Then depression, suicidal thoughts, and asthenia. And asthenia is a condition where you become very lethargic, you lose energy for doing things, right? Which is something you don't want to have happen to you when you're flying in space and you have a heavy workload to go